If I offered you like $3 million in cold, hard cash right this second, or a single penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days, take the penny.
Oh, definitely take the penny.
Right. So, welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. We are thrilled to have you with us today.
Absolutely.
Our mission today is to completely shatter this microwave mentality of instant success that just dominates our culture.
Yeah, the overnight success myth.
Exactly. We're unpacking the core principles from Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect, really to reveal the unsexy, downright boring, but practically mathematically guaranteed formula for achieving extraordinary results.
Which is what everyone actually wants, you know?
Right. Society constantly sells us these, lottery winner expectations, overnight fixes, but the actual secret to success isn't some dramatic movie montage.
No, not at all.
It's really just a series of tiny, seemingly insignificant daily choices.
Yeah, it is basically the ultimate operating system running in the background of your life, whether you're aware of it or not.
Which most of us aren't.
Right, most of us are totally oblivious. And the reason this deep dive is so vital for you to hear is that, honestly, knowledge alone is practically useless.
Oh, totally.
I mean, everyone listening knows the basic mechanics of how to lose weight, right? You consume fewer calories, you expend more energy.
Simple math.
Everyone knows how to save money, just spend less than you earn.
Right, but nobody actually does it.
Exactly. A massive percentage of the population is, broke, out of shape, and completely stressed out. So we don't have an information problem in today's world. We have a behavior problem.
That is such a good point. We know what to do, we just don't do it.
Yeah. So today, we're going to explore why we consistently fail to do those things we already know we should do, and how to harness this invisible mathematical force that is currently dictating your entire future.
Okay, let's jump back to that opening scenario, because I think it perfectly dismantles the whole idea of massive, heroic effort.
Oh, the penny scenario.
Yeah. Because we've been conditioned to think success looks like, Rocky Balboa running up the museum steps, sweat flying everywhere, triumphant music blaring in the background.
Right, the big dramatic push.
Exactly. But the true engine of success is just compounding. So let's play out the math on that hypothetical choice.
Let's do it.
Say you take the $3 million in cash today. Boom, you're rich. And your friend, they take the doubling penny.
Okay.
On day 5, your friend has exactly 16 cents.
16 cents. Wow.
Yeah, and you are living large, buying sports cars,
Feeling pretty smart.
Exactly. Now, on day 20, after almost 3 full weeks of waiting, your friend has only $5,243.
And you still have $3 million.
Right. You have $3 million.
The math here completely shatters our standard perception of time and reward. I mean, day 20 is where the illusion really breaks people.
Yeah, they give up.
Because your friend has been diligently holding on to this process for nearly a month, and honestly, they look like a total fool compared to you.
Totally. $5,000 versus $3 million.
We're looking at a system that requires just a tremendous amount of time before the invisible magic becomes visible to the naked eye. I mean, it's not until day 30 that the penny actually overtakes the $3 million.
Day 30?
Yeah. And on day 31, that compounding penny finishes at an astonishing $10,737,418.24.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that timeline applies perfectly to our daily behaviors.
It really does.
The author outlines this brilliant, relatable scenario involving 3 friends. Let's call them Larry, Scott, and Brad.
Okay, Larry, Scott, and Brad.
So they all make about $50,000 a year. They're all married. And they all have a little bit of extra, let's call it marriage flab, around the midsection.
Just kind of average guys.
Exactly. Now, Larry decides to just keep doing exactly what he has always done. He is coasting. He is basically our control group.
Right. And then Scott decides to make some tiny, seemingly inconsequential positive changes.
Like what?
Well, he cuts out just 125 calories a day.
That's nothing.
It's totally nothing. We aren't talking about a crash diet. Maybe he, swaps mayonnaise for mustard on his sandwich and skips half a can of soda.
Very manageable.
And he also starts reading 10 pages of a good book a day and listens to 30 minutes of something educational on his commute instead of just the local shock jock.
Okay, so that's Scott. Now, Brad goes the exact opposite direction, but again, in a really tiny way.
Right.
He buys a new big screen TV. He starts trying out some, rich, buttery recipes he saw on the Food Network, and he adds just 1 alcoholic drink a week to his routine.
Just 1 extra drink.
Yeah, nothing crazy, no benders, just an extra beer on a Friday. So at 5 months, if you line these three guys up, there is zero visible difference.
Well, not at all.
At 10 months, still nothing. I mean, you could put them on a medical scale, and the rounding error would just be zero.
And the psychological agony of that delay is just...
Oh. Yeah.
But let's fast forward to 31 months. So 940 days later.
Okay.
The change is jarring. Because Scott cut 125 calories a day for 940 days. He saved over 117,000 calories.
Wow.
When you divide that by 3,500 calories, which is roughly what makes up a pound of fat, Scott is 33.5 pounds lighter.
That is wild.
And Brad, on the other hand, consumed 125 extra calories a day. So he is 33.5 pounds heavier.
Oh, man.
You are looking at a 67-pound physical swing between two friends, all based on the caloric equivalent of, like, a handful of potato chips.
It sounds like planting a bamboo tree where you water a patch of dirt for 5 years with zero visible growth, and then it suddenly shoots up 90 feet in a month.
That's exactly what it is.
Because you put in all this effort, skipping the dessert, reading the book, and you look in the mirror after 6 months, and you still look exactly the same.
Right. And that delayed feedback loop is exactly why society defaults to the microwave mentality.
Okay.
We want it now. But the compound effect goes far beyond just physical weight. It triggers what we call the ripple effect.
Oh, this part is fascinating.
Yeah, so the extra heavy food made Brad sluggish. Just the biological reality of digesting that rich food diverted energy from his brain.
Food coma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that sluggishness made him cranky and less focused, which impacted his performance at work, which then led to negative feedback from his boss.
Which stresses him out, so he probably wants more comfort food to cope with the stress of the bad performance review.
Precisely. The stress compounds. And because his overall energy is low, he stops taking evening walks with his wife.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and she misses that daily connection and feels him withdrawing emotionally. So to protect herself from that rejection, she withdraws as well. Soon, they're living like distant roommates. One tiny, seemingly harmless habit, eating a few extra rich meals a week, rippled through his biology, his psychology, his career, and wrecked his marriage.
And what about Scott?
Meanwhile, Scott's tiny habit of reading and listening to educational material compounded into new skills, earning him a promotion at work. His energy is up, and his marriage is thriving.
Waking up to the reality of these choices is deeply uncomfortable, honestly. The book uses this great analogy. You don't get bitten by elephants, right? It's the mosquitoes that bite you.
That's a great way to put it.
We rarely ruin our lives with one massive, catastrophic mistake. For most of us, it is the tiny, unthinking choices.
The mosquitoes.
Yeah. The extra slice of cheese, the hour lost scrolling on the phone instead of prepping for a meeting, or, the knee-jerk lie to a spouse just to avoid a minor 10-minute argument.
What's fascinating here is how these unthinking mosquito bite choices breed a completely pervasive victim mentality.
How so?
Well, when things go wrong in our lives, our default psychological defense mechanism is to point fingers outward.
Oh, sure.
The boss is unfair, the economy is rigged, the spouse is unreasonable. Blaming external factors protects our ego. But the concept of 100% responsibility completely dismantles that defense mechanism. It is the 100-0 rule.
Okay, I have to admit, when we were prepping for this deep dive, I genuinely bristled at the 100-0 rule.
Most people do.
Because the idea is that a relationship only works if you are willing to take 100% responsibility for making it work with zero expectation of receiving anything in return.
Yep, 100-0.
But we are culturally programmed to think relationships are 50-50 partnerships, meeting halfway. If my partner is being awful, I'm supposed to take 100% responsibility. That just sounds like a recipe for becoming a doormat.
It definitely sounds counterintuitive, but it is actually the ultimate form of empowerment.
Really?
Yes. Think about it. If you believe the relationship is 50-50, you are entirely dependent on the other person fulfilling their half. You're a hostage to their behavior.
Oh, I see.
If you take 100% ownership of your own choices, your own reactions, and your own boundaries, you hold all the power. You are no longer a victim of their bad mood.
That shifts the perspective entirely.
It does. Even when people complain about bad luck, we have to push back. The formula for luck is deeply practical.
There's a formula.
Yeah? It's preparation, meaning your personal growth and skill set plus attitude, which is your mindset and ability to see possibilities, plus opportunity, which is just a good thing crossing your path, plus action.
Preparation, attitude, opportunity, action.
Exactly. That equals luck. If you aren't prepared or you fail to take action, the opportunity passes you by and you label it bad luck just to protect your ego.
Taking that radical responsibility completely changes the dynamic of your life. There is an incredible case study in the source material about a man who was deeply frustrated with his wife.
Oh, the journal story.
Yeah, he was constantly complaining to his friends about her flaws, but he decided to try an experiment called the Thanksgiving Journal.
This is such a powerful exercise.
Every single day for an entire year, he forced himself to write down one thing he appreciated about her in a private journal.
Like what?
You know, the way she cared for their dogs, a specific meal she cooked, or how she handled a stressful situation with grace. Just little things.
And the result was transformative. But not because he changed her.
Right.
It's because he changed his own biological filter.
Exactly. By actively forcing his brain to scan his environment for the positive things she was doing, his entire attitude shifted. He stopped snapping at her.
Yeah.
And his new, softer behavior caused her to respond differently to him. Her guard came down, which gave him even more genuinely good things to write down in the journal.
It compounded.
A tiny choice. Just 5 minutes of journaling a day saved a marriage that was headed for divorce.
But since our choices are largely unconscious reflexes, we have to force them into the light through relentless tracking.
Tracking, right.
You simply cannot manage, improve, or even understand what you do not measure.
The author shares this wild story about how he ended up with a $100,000 tax bill.
Oh yeah, because he was spending money like a drunken fool.
Yeah, his words, yeah. The money was just vanishing, and he had no idea where the leak was. So his accountant forced him to carry a small physical notepad and write down every single cent he spent for 30 straight days.
Everything.
Everything. 50 cents for air and a tire, $1,000 for a suit, our random coffee. It all went in the book.
That forced consciousness creates unnecessary friction.
Yeah, it slows you down.
It inserts a crucial pause between the impulse to buy and the action of handing over the credit card.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the true compounded cost of a daily $4 coffee.
Let's hear it.
It doesn't just cost $4. If you took that same $4 and invested it at an 8% annual return, that money compounds. Over 20 years, that daily coffee habit actually costs your future self $51,833.79.
Over 50 grand for coffee.
Yes. Every time you spend $1 today, you are essentially costing yourself $5 in the future. So when you look at a $50 item at the store, you aren't spending $50. You are robbing your future self of $250.
That is the mathematics of compounding applied to our daily vices. And once you track it, you actually see the leaks.
You really do.
There's a story of an assistant named Kathleen who was making $40,000 a year. And she insisted she couldn't save 10% of her income. She felt she was barely surviving.
Sure, $40K isn't a lot.
Right, but she was instructed to track every penny and just save 1%, $33 a month.
That's doable.
She achieved that simply by bringing her lunch to work just 1 day a week. The next month, they bumped the goal to 2%, so $67. By canceling an unused magazine subscription and making coffee at the office instead of the drive-thru.
Because she became hyper-conscious of her finances, her entire mindset shifted from scarcity to control. And within 2 years, she was making over $100,000, and she eventually became a millionaire.
It's amazing.
The compounding skills of tracking, discipline, and awareness literally spilled over into her earning potential. And you know, the same mathematical principle applies to elite performance.
How so?
Well, the difference between the #1 ranked golfer in the world and the number 10 golfer is an average of only 1.9 strokes.
Wait, less than 2 strokes?
Yeah, it is a minuscule 2.7% difference in actual performance. But the prize money difference, the #1 golfer makes $10 million, while number 10 makes $2 million.
Wow. We call that a winner-take-all market.
Right.
At the highest levels of any field, the competition is so incredibly tight that a marginal improvement of 2 or 3% yields exponential, completely disproportionate rewards.
Because the #1 golfer isn't 5 times better than the number 10 golfer?
No, they're just a tiny fraction better. But that fraction captures all the leverage.
Okay, wait, I have to push back here on behalf of you, the listener.
Go for it.
Pulling out a physical notepad every single time I buy a pack of gum, or logging every single pretzel I eat, that sounds miserable.
It does.
It sounds completely obsessive, exhausting, and frankly like a great way to ruin the joy of living.
It is exhausting. And I completely validate that frustration. Nobody wants to live like an accountant auditing their own life 24/7.
That's cute.
But here is the psychology behind the exercise. It is not a lifelong prison sentence. It is a 21-day shock to the system.
Only 21 days.
Yeah, psychologists generally agree it takes about 3 weeks of consistent action to build a new neural pathway. You only need to track a specific behavior, what you eat, what you spend, how many sales calls you make, for 3 weeks.
Okay, that changes things.
Right. That is just long enough to rewire your baseline awareness and let a new, positive habit take over on autopilot.
Just 3 weeks of conscious pain to wake up from the sleepwalking, that actually makes it feel doable.
It is doable.
But waking up and tracking your choices reveals a very uncomfortable truth. Most of our choices aren't actually choices at all. They are deeply ingrained reflexes.
Yeah, habits.
Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. So now we have to figure out how to unlearn the bad reflexes and build the good ones.
To understand how habits physically work in the brain, consider this old story of the wise teacher and the tree.
I love this one.
So the teacher asks young people to pull up a tiny sapling, which the boy does easily with 2 fingers. Then he asks him to pull up a knee-high tree. It takes some serious effort and sweat, but he yanks it up, roots and all.
Right.
Finally, the teacher points to a massive, towering oak tree and says, now pull this one up.
Which is physically impossible for a human being.
Exactly. The teacher explains that habits are exactly the same. The older they are, the deeper the roots grow into your neurology, and the harder they are to uproot.
Makes sense.
A habit you've had for a week is a sapling. A habit you've had for 20 years, like lighting a cigarette when you feel stressed, is a massive oak tree.
We can use that root system to our advantage, though. Look at Larry Bird.
The basketball player.
Yeah. He wasn't the most naturally gifted, fastest, or most graceful player.
Yeah.
He did not have the best raw genetic talent on the court.
Right.
But his habit was shooting 500 free throws every single morning before school. He built an immovable oak tree of discipline, and it allowed him to completely outwork natural talent and become one of the greatest NBA players in history.
But the primary obstacle to building those positive oak trees is our biological wiring. We are totally trapped by instant gratification.
Oh, the dopamine hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From an evolutionary standpoint, our ancestors survived by consuming highly caloric food immediately because they didn't know when the next meal was coming.
Survival mode.
Right. We are wired for a dopamine hit right now, not a 30-year retirement plan. If eating one Big Mac instantly caused a massive heart attack, no human being would ever eat one.
Because the negative feedback loop would be immediate and fatal.
Exactly. But because the negative payoff is delayed by decades of slowly clogging arteries, our rational, long-term brains lose the fight to the instant dopamine hit of the salt and fat.
So what does this all mean for us on a random Tuesday morning?
Well,
It means you don't need a radical, terrifying life overhaul to avoid the heart attack or achieve the financial goal. You just need a 1% course correction.
just 1%.
Think about a commercial airplane leaving Los Angeles for New York City. If the nose of that plane is pointed just 1% off course on the runway, which is an almost invisible shift to the passengers, it won't land in New York.
Where does it go?
It will end up 150 miles away in Albany, New York, or Dover, Delaware. A single poor habit shifts your life's trajectory invisibly but drastically.
But conversely, a single good habit shifts your trajectory towards success just as drastically. You don't have to quit your job, move to a monastery, and eat raw kale to change your life.
Thank goodness.
You just need a slight adjustment to the navigation system.
Look at Beverly's story from the book. She was an overweight salesperson who dreamed of running a half marathon, but she physically got winded just climbing a flight of stairs.
That's a tough starting point.
It is. But instead of buying a fancy gym membership, buying expensive gear, and burning out in a week of total agony, she just started walking a 1-mile loop around her suburban block.
That was her 1% shift.
Exactly. The friction was so low she couldn't say no. And eventually, as her stamina biologically increased, she jogged a quarter of that loop. Then half.
And then,
Fast forward, she lost 40 pounds, doubled her sales performance because her overall daily energy skyrocketed, and now she runs full marathons.
that is the ultimate testament to the compound effect in action. But as you and I both know, when things get hard, when it's raining outside, you are tired, and you do not want to walk, that mile willpower alone will fail you.
Willpower is fickle.
Relying on willpower is a losing game. Willpower is like your phone battery. Every time you make a decision throughout the day, you know what to wear, how to handle a client, what to eat for lunch.
Your battery drains.
Right. By 8 p.m., that battery is at 1%, which is exactly why you eat the junk food at night, not in the morning. You suffer from decision fatigue. You need a power source that doesn't drain. You need why power.
Why power? Okay, let's do a mental exercise to illustrate this.
Let's do it.
If I put a 30-foot plank of wood on the ground in a parking lot and offered you $20 to walk across it, you'd do it in a heartbeat.
Easy 20 bucks.
But if I take that exact same plank and suspend it between the rooftops of two 100-story skyscrapers and offer you $20 to walk across?
I am going to tell you you lost.
Right. Because the risk of falling to your death far outweighs the $20 reward.
Totally.
But what if your child is trapped on the roof of the opposite building and that building is engulfed in flames? Would you walk across that exact same plank then?
Without a single second of hesitation.
See, the how didn't change. The physical act of putting one foot in front of the other on a piece of wood is exactly the same. The deadly danger is exactly the same. What completely transformed your willingness to act was the why. When your why is massive enough, you will endure almost anyhow. You have to find your fight.
And finding your fight doesn't necessarily mean your motivation has to be purely noble or angelic.
It doesn't.
No, sometimes the most powerful fuel is what we hate. Hating complacency, hating the feeling of being ignorant, or wanting to prove naysayers wrong.
Oh, spite can be a great motivator.
Look at Pete Carroll, one of history's great football coaches. He used his deep childhood frustration of being too small to play sports to fuel a ferocious competitive greatness.
Anthony Hopkins is another phenomenal example.
Oh, the actor.
Yeah. He was burdened with severe dyslexia and ADHD decades before those were common clinical diagnoses. He was labeled a problem child by his teachers and felt totally rejected by society.
That's heartbreaking.
But he harnessed the boiling anger of being told he was stupid and had no future and used it as rocket fuel to become one of the most legendary, meticulous actors of our time. It is about finding whatever lights a fire in your gut.
And this deep internal motivation actually acts as a biological filter for your reality. Which brings us to the actual neurology behind the often misunderstood law of attraction.
Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this.
Right, because it's not cosmic magic. It is not esoteric voodoo where you wish for a bicycle and it manifests on your lawn. It is about the reticular activating system in your brain.
The RAS.
Yes. The brain is bombarded with billions of sensory bytes of information every single second. The hum of the refrigerator, the temperature of the room, the thousands of cars passing by.
It's overwhelming.
To keep you from literally going insane from sensory overload, the brain ignores 99.9% of it.
Yeah.
But when you set a clear, burning goal based on your core values, you give your brain a new set of instructions. You program a new filter.
It operates precisely like when you finally decide to buy a specific make and model of a car.
Right.
Let's say a red Honda Civic. Suddenly you see red Honda Civics everywhere you go. On the highway, in the grocery store parking lot, on TV.
They were always there, but your brain was filtering them out as irrelevant data.
Exactly.
When you define your goal and your why, you suddenly see the resources, the networking contacts, and the opportunities that were always surrounding you.
You aren't magically manifesting them out of thin air. You are just finally paying attention. But it all has to tie back to what genuinely matters to you.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it all comes down to fulfillment. True fulfillment only happens when your daily compounded choices perfectly align with your deepest core values.
Without that, it's empty.
Exactly. You can achieve extraordinary compound success making millions of dollars or getting in perfect physical shape. But if that pursuit doesn't align with who you truly are and what you value, it will feel entirely empty. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
That brings everything full circle. You, listening to this deep dive right now, hold an immense amount of agency over your future.
You really do.
You do not need to be naturally gifted. You do not need to be inherently lucky. By leveraging the slow mathematical power of the compound effect, by taking radical 100% responsibility for your life, by waking up and tracking your tiny daily choices, and by anchoring every bit of that effort to a burning why, you can mathematically guarantee your own success. It is just math and time.
This raises an important question, though, and it is something I want you to really mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
What's that?
We have talked extensively about how every single tiny positive action compounds over time to create a vastly different reality.
Nope.
But remember, non-actions compound too.
Oh, wow.
Think about that one good habit you keep telling yourself you will start tomorrow. The exercise routine, the aggressive savings plan, the business you want to start. If a $4 cup of coffee costs your future self $51,000 over 20 years, What is the invisible compounded cost of doing nothing today?